Hope everybody's doing great. JC Vlad here with the Colorado Rockies. Not much to say about this team. We're both kind of fans. Vlad a little bit more than me, but this team was very bad last year and has been bad for a little while. And you may look at these players if you're not a Rockies fan and wonder who the heck are these guys. Well, we're here to explain these people a little bit to you. So, not much in the addition department in the offseason. They got our guy, Kyle Farmer. Vlad, is there anything that Kyle is going to bring to the table?
He might play second base for them. I mean, I don't really know what the deal is if they have Adele Amador start the season at second, but Farmer could definitely play 120 games.
Yeah, solid. Solid guy. And then Chuck Nasty, obviously, Charlie Blackmon retiring. And they lost Cal Quantrill. Was it to the Marlins?
It was, yeah.
Will these two losses really affect them at all, or do you think they were just cutting weight there?
I mean, Quantrill was probably their best pitcher last year. So I think that'll hurt them, I guess. I mean, I don't really know how much losing one pitcher can affect the team so bad. But yeah, I mean, as our projections show, I think they'll be better than they were last year, even with losing Cal.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about some of their best projected players by Fangraphs. And as you can maybe see in the bottom right, we have one more that we think should be on here, but Fangraphs really isn't rocking with as much. They're rocking with Ezequiel Tovar, who they project to be their 3-hole, a shortstop, 3.2 WAR, put up a career year last year. Vlad, if you've watched Ezequiel play, how would you describe his game to the novice fan?
Yeah, so it's a lot of you can obviously see the tools that are there. He's, I don't want to say a platinum glove level defender like Brenton Doyle might be, but he's still very good defensively, Gold Glove caliber shortstop. The hitting is a little bit iffy. He swings and misses a lot, chases a lot, doesn't walk at all. So he'll need to improve that. I know I saw something the other day about he only walked a certain amount of times last year that was really small, and he walked twice in a spring game or whatever. But he's a good hitter when he puts the bat on the ball. The discipline needs a little bit of work.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty young, I think. He's only, 23, 24, 25?
Yeah, that sounds right. I mean, it's his third year.
Yeah, third year in the bigs. Maybe this is a guy that the Rockies can grow with as they look to turn their franchise around.
Yeah, he's 23.
Then we got Brenton Doyle, projected 3 WAR player. I think he's won the Gold Glove 2 straight years, if I'm not mistaken, in center field. All I know is he's got a great arm, and he's hit a few bombs against our Reds. So anything else on Brenton?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of his WAR is going to come from his defense. It's so him and Pete Crow Armstrong are probably the best outfield defenders I've ever seen. It's ridiculous. Yeah. But yeah, he is a cannon. He actually was a productive hitter last year. I don't know how much higher his ceiling is going to be, but I mean, a 2 to 3 WAR high floor player like Doyle, where what kind of defense you're going to get, and then he'll run into some power. That's a good player.
Yeah. Next up, we got Ryan McMahon, who's patrolled the third base spot since Arenado left a few years back. Guy who's not going to put up the most eye-popping numbers, but he's a guy that pops off at some random times, in my opinion. Vlad, what do you think about McMahon as a player, and what can we expect from him this season?
Yeah, he's kind of been I don't want to call him the cornerstone, but
Yeah.
He's been like one of the few hitters that's actually like been around for a little while with this team. I want to say his home road splits are pretty different. So I think he hits the ball a lot better at Coors like any other hitter would, but his road splits are a little bit underwhelming. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I mean, it's just another kind of like, you know what you're going to get. How he'll have some power. He's a great defender. He'll swing and miss, it's kind of like the same mold for these three guys at the top here, except Doyle's a little bit better of a hitter.
Absolutely. I think the same mold. And then another kind of mold. We're going to skip. We're going to talk about the other two guys, but just really quick, German Marquez, kind of a fan favorite there for the Rockies. He's been there for a while. He's projected to be their ace once again. Pretty solid stats, but obviously the combination of pitching in Coors and he's getting a little older. Not necessarily the best projections, but he is their projected ace according to Fangraphs. Vlad, do you have anything on Marquez?
Yeah, he's been banged up a lot. I want to say he had Tommy John and didn't. I don't know if he didn't pitch at all last year, or if he was out for a little bit. But it was weird. They like extended him while he got like right after he got Tommy John, which is kind of puzzling. But anyways, he's going to be their ace. I mean, he's a decent pitcher. I would like to see what he's like on a different team where you don't have the Coors effect, but he's a solid pitcher.
Yeah, definitely agree. The fact that he's made it this far in the big leagues kind of shows his stuff. So now we're going to talk about 3 or 4 guys, because this is what you're here for if you're a Rockies fan, right? You're not looking at this year to win it all, especially with the teams in your division and the roster that you have. You're looking at the future, and the future starts with these guys. Let's talk about a guy that, according to the MLB.com website, won't be up this year, probably because he got drafted last year, but there's always a chance because he's a very polished player. The number 29th ranked player was a very early first-round pick this year, Charlie Condon. I'm not sure if he went 1 or not, but
he was 3.
3? Okay. Well, just real quick, I know we did a little bit of this at draft time, but tell me what Rockies fans can expect from Condon at the AA and AAA level this year.
Yeah, honestly, I really don't know. He was really bad in professional baseball last year when he first arrived. Now, given it was 25 games, which is like okay sample size, not crazy, but he hit 180 with a 518 OPS. He in 100 at bats, he had 34 strikeouts and only walked 4 times. So I don't know if it is just like a mental thing or an adjustment to pro ball, or I don't know. But obviously, like, something needs to change there. And the jump from single A to double A, I would say, is probably as big as it's ever been. So I don't know. He might start in single A. I'm not really sure.
Yeah. MLB.com has him starting in AAA, but not too sure about that based on what you're describing.
One more notable thing about him is a lot of those like guys that get picked top 5, that especially the college guys, a lot of the time they'll at least get an invite to MLB spring training. Like, for example, Chase Burns with the Reds got invited to spring this year. It doesn't mean he's going to make the team, but it's still like big league camp, so he gets to work with big leaguers, big league coaches and stuff like that. But Condon did not get an invite, so that's something to keep in the back of your mind.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal footnote. And obviously, Don't want to worry Rockies fans. I mean, I'm sure Condon will turn out okay. I mean, coming out of college, I mean, I was kind of hoping that the Reds maybe snagged him. I mean, who wouldn't want a 6'6" guy who can hit for contact, hit for power, coming out of Georgia? But yeah, that should be a little concerning. Not getting that big league invite. But still, number 3 draft pick, drafted last year. He's got some time. Here's a guy who's, I think, had enough time. Was drafted in 2020, right about the spot, little bit. I think he was number 9 or number 10 in the 2020 draft out of high school. Outfielder Zach Veen, a guy who's he's bustling with potential, and you should probably see him, according to the articles I've read. You should see his debut this year. Can you tell us about Zach Veen and what he might or might not bring to the table?
Yeah, I've been a huge fan of Zach Veen since, I want to say, 2021 or 2022. He's just like been banged up all over the place. He's another one of those position players who got Tommy John a while ago, and then he's had some other issues. He kind of worked his way back this year. He didn't play a ton, but he got 65 total games. So let's see. He got all the way back up to AAA. So I would assume he gets decent big league time this year, but 800 OPS in AA, 757 in 21 games in AAA. And then he had like the bat flip of the year already in spring training.
Yeah.
Which is pretty ridiculous. But it was awesome. So I would expect, maybe he doesn't make the team, but if there's an injury to an outfielder, I'd presume that he's the first one up.
Absolutely. To be honest, I was a little bit worried. Anytime someone gets drafted, and because I think Bobby Witt, he got drafted in either 2020 or 2021, right? Or even 2022, maybe.
I'm trying to remember. I want to say it was 21 sounds right. Let me check.
Well, he was drafted, I think, after Zach Veen, and he's already a star, right? He's already a guy that many people are considering a top 10 player in baseball.
That's my fault. He was 2019.
2019. Okay, so my bad. He's a year younger than Veen, but he's already a top 10, arguably a top 10 player in baseball. Veen is a guy who I was really high on in the draft, the 2020 draft. He's a big guy with a lot of power, and he can run a little bit too. A guy who they were raving about his work ethic and stuff like that on the draft telecast. And I just wish the best for him. I hope that he's able to come up and kind of be a spark for the Rockies, because they definitely need some young talent in there. It's just kind of tough looking at the Rockies, their projected starting lineup via Fangraphs, because it's a lot of older gentlemen. Not saying these guys are bad, but they're not very youthful. Like Jacob Stallings is their starting catcher. He's 35. Chris Bryant, of course, we all know the deal with him and his contract. Tyro Estrada, he's signed, so that maybe could have been a interesting signing. He's slated to start on opening day. Sam Hilliard, Kyle Farmer. These guys aren't very young. They're not, extremely promising, but I think an injection of youth can maybe turn this franchise into something special. Let's talk about the best prospect on the Rockies, Chase Dollander. Dolander. Apologies for not knowing the correct pronunciation, but I probably should know more about this guy because he's rising up the ranks pretty fast. Vlad, is he worth the hype?
Yeah. The second that he touches the big leagues, he'll be their ace. That's not really saying a whole lot, but he's going to be a guy.
It's still awesome.
Yeah. Got up to got up to AA last year. Threw 118 innings. Actually was better in AA than he was in single A, for what it's worth. But AA, he had a 2.25 ERA. Struck out 34% of the guys he was facing. Walk rate's still maybe a little bit higher than you want to see it, but fastball is elite. It's probably like a 65, 70 grade pitch, and then he's got three other pitches. The slider's okay, the curveball is gross, and then he like mixes in a changeup. It's not great, but it's another pitch. So
absolutely, that's really great that he'll be their ace as soon as he comes up. You always want to see that with a top prospect pitcher, especially a team like the Rockies that kind of needs pitching. We normally don't go over the pitching rotation, but this one, in my opinion, is especially bad or projected to be bad. They have guys, Ryan Feltner, obviously you like. He looks like a solid guy. But then you got Kyle Freeland, who hasn't been too great in his tenure with the Rockies. Then you got Antonio Senzatella, projected for a 5 ERA. And then you got Austin Gomber, who has been up and down his whole entire career. Really no notable names of note in the bullpen. A couple guys that are projected to have okay years, but not a lot of pitching talent that jumps off the page. But here we go. Let's talk about the season preview. So last season, they were 61-101, last in the NL West. Fangraphs thinks that they will be better than last year. I know I saw a few articles saying that they would be worse. They were projecting them around the 50-ish, 55, 60 game mark, but they think they'll be better, and we think that they'll be better as well. Vlad, can you just explain why you think the Rockies will be better, but still quite bad?
Yeah, the reason they'll still be bad is the pitching. I think we've addressed that. Dolner will help them win games at some point. I don't know if it'll be in May or I don't know if it'll be in September. But I think the biggest thing that'll at least get them a few more wins will be the young hitting talent that they have coming through. Now, some people who are projecting them to be bad, they might think that all these young guys coming up, it's going to take them time to adjust to the league. And that's understandable, but at some point, it's going to click for some of these guys, whether it's all of them or a couple of them. But, I mean, on top of the guys that are mentioned here, like Tovar, Doyle, McMahon, Veen will be up. Jordan Beck's solid. Amador's solid. Hunter Goodman's solid. Michael Toglia, obviously, I think is pretty good, given my MVP pick. But yeah, I think they have talent. It's just whether or not they put it together or not on the hitting side. So,
absolutely, I think that's a great. And there, like you said, there's more guys that we didn't talk about in this preview, but still might play a role in their success this season in some games. Let's talk about our MVP pick here, Michael Toglia. He's a guy that you might look at the Fangraphs pages and he's not really on there. He's not on our top projected players. He's got a t-shirt of Michael Toglia, ladies and gentlemen. Tell me why this first baseman is going to break out this year.
Yeah, I've always just been a fan. He has a swing that is built for Coors Field, which it's when he gets a hold of a ball, it is magical to see. But last year, it was a very quiet 25 home run season at 767 OPS as well. And then another stat to bring to your attention is second half of the season, so after the All-Star break, Michael Toglia had a 16.4% barrel percentage. The only ones that were higher than him were Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, Kyle Schwarber, Jorge Soler, and Juan Soto. So
wow,
he's going to have like a swing and miss problem. Like that's just kind of what you're going to get from him. But if he keeps it at like 30 or slightly below 30, it was 32 last year. I mean, I feel like 35 home runs is pretty, I don't want to say easy, but it's easy to see it happening. I think he'll play pretty consistently this year. So I would expect a lot of power numbers. You'll have to live with your strikeouts, but when he hits the ball, he hits it really hard. So, and this could be the same for like a Nolan Jones. Nolan Jones was really good in 2023 and really bad in 2024. So if Toglia falls off the face of the earth, happened with Nolan Jones. So it wouldn't be the least surprising thing to me. But if it clicks for Toglia or somewhat clicks, he can be a really good hitter.
Absolutely. I endorse this. Looking at Michael Toglia, entering his age 26 season, he'll be 27 in August. So it's time. It's time for him to step up and become, this first baseman. He's got a great frame here, 6'5", switch hitter. And he jumped, like you said, from -1.5 WAR in 23 to 2.2 WAR in 24. And I think we can reasonably expect a nice jump here in 25. And that was a great stat about barrel rate. He's up there with
he's also already hit 2 home runs this spring. Now, don't take spring training numbers seriously, but it makes you a little bit more excited.
Absolutely. Well, Rockies fans, we'd love to have a dialogue with y'all in the comments. Leave one below. We'll definitely respond. And I appreciate y'all. Be safe.